Hey, what's up, everybody? Thanks for coming to the channel and checking things out. I noticed here on MSN today, it said Lucasfilm drops entire Mandalorian season 4 in historic pivot. A $100 million cut ends the entire streaming model. Now, I don't know if it's that drastic. I don't know what else is going on. I haven't had time to deep dive and investigate all of this. I do know they made some major cuts, so let's dive into this a little bit. My big question is this the end for Star Wars on Disney Plus? While some of you out there may wish for that, I'm happy that they did do a lot of content. And had they stuck to the path and the plan which we were given, maybe things would be different. But I do feel like the timeline has lined up somewhat. And think about the other pieces that have fallen into place for them with the acquisitions they've made with Fox, Marvel, other franchises. There's no shortage of content with Hulu now being wholly owned by them, integrating that into Disney Plus. I think that's what they've always been trying to do is have a television streaming platform that was one united thing that you could get on and see everything. And it looks to me like that's pretty much here without a lot of fanfare. It's here. You can go to the top of the screen and select which platform you want to look at: Hulu, Disney Plus, ESPN, movies, shows. Um, different things like that. So, how does Star Wars, their big bread and butter franchise IP, fit into all of this? Let's go check out what they're saying here and see how it lines up with what we know that we've heard and seen over the years. In November of 19, Disney Plus made its big debut with The Mandalorian, shaking up the streaming world, which it did. It gained a lot of fans, followers, subscribers. It says that it sparked a massive cultural wave, captivating the hearts of viewers and driving subscriptions. As the flagship series, The Mandalorian set the stage for Disney's ambitious expansion into streaming, with Lucasfilm leading the charge. After this initial entry into the streaming world with Mandalorian, everybody thought super high marks, great feels. It had a great retro feel to it. Jon Favreau applauded highly for this, still to this day. And you know, now we're a few years on from it, and we've kind of gotten tired. The culture's the fan culture for it, the Star Wars community's kind of gotten tired of everything. They gave us this plan. We're gonna do Mandalorian, we're gonna do these other characters and series that all tie into each other and hit these films, and they haven't really told us where we're at. They've given us this timeline, and they've dropped shows out of it, they've added shows to it, and it's like swing and a miss, swing and a miss, swing and a miss to a lot of the fans, and they don't like it. They don't like where it's gone. They wish for it to be different. They wish for things to just be completely retconned. So you have that side of it, and then you have this side of it of the business where they've got to keep pumping out content, but the things have changed drastically and so fast with streaming taking over. The cord cutters have just said, hell with it. We're streaming everything, but we're not going to stream specifically to your platform just for one hit show when you keep giving us other questionable quality shows, and the budgets are ridiculous, right? So let's continue on here. Let's see. By 2024, Disney's streaming arm faced mounting financial challenges. Bob Iger admitted that Disney Plus had overinvested in quantity over quality, leading to hefty losses. I mean, hello. The studio's strategy to turn out content in bulk, including a 25% drop in Star Wars series production in 2024, reflected a shift towards focusing on profitability rather than just volume. But Disney is now cutting back and rethinking how it uses its most valuable franchises, which I think that's the problem. That statement right there, how it uses the franchises, right? I think that's where we can all agree there are things that, yes, we do still enjoy. We are glad that the Star Wars name is out there still, but we don't like the quality control. We don't like where some of the things have gone, how they've somehow gotten intertwined with, up to the minute actions and issues in the world. We just want to be taken away from that. We want to be entertained, and we don't feel like that's happening 100%. The Star Wars franchise, once defined by its blockbuster films, pivoted heavily into streaming after The Rise of Skywalker in 2019. With The Mandalorian at the forefront, the franchise embraced a new television era, producing hit shows like Andor, Ahsoka, and The Book of Boba Fett. Uh, Still questionable to make that statement as well. But recent feedback on series like The Acolyte has led Lucasfilm to reassess its strategy. Are these shows still the future of the galaxy far, far away? Having said that and read that and seeing that question, if they're done well, they're fine. Yes, they're gonna pick up subscribers. They're gonna get word of mouth out there. I mean, look at what Grogu, baby Yoda did for them, you know? It sparked a lot. It sparked a lot, and then things just went over over a cliff. Let's continue. Lucasfilm is now making a sharp and deliberate pivot back to theatrical films. I have said for a long time that I have felt like they had some diamonds in the rough in certain areas that could get us back into the theaters. We didn't need to have a show on every month, every 3 weeks, every 3 months, whatever it was. We just needed the quality there, something that was a connective tissue from story to story, timeline to timeline that we could follow through and continue to love and enjoy. I think one big issue that people have with Disney's version of Star Wars is that they took this IP with these great classic characters and they interjected their own new characters, and they don't want to let go of that. So it's like they're burying the past to just push this current thing down your throat, and it's not even like a subtle mix. It's just, okay, they're all gone now. Let's continue. And that to me could be perceived as a big mistake on their part. But let's continue into this a little deeper. So, trying to move back into the theaters, focusing on fewer, higher impact films. The move follows the cancellation of high budget series The Acolyte due to financial concerns and a reported budget cut of over $100 million for Ahsoka season 2. $100 million was cut from the budget of Ahsoka season 2. And from what we've found out in previous months and weeks, is that a lot of Acolyte budget was there because of some timing with the Obi-Wan series. So Obi-Wan gets panned hard, but they only had like what, $90 million budget, $60 million budget, somewhere in there for that whole series. You had this almost $200 million budget for Acolyte, which was a sort of a mess. And then you're talking $100 million out of the budget for a second season of Ahsoka 2. Like, what is it going to be? People just in the back on a stage? What are we doing here? What are we doing here? Let's move on. For the first time since Rise of Skywalker in 2019, Star Wars is heading back to theaters. The Mandalorian and Grogu will hit the big screens on May 22nd, 2026, directed by Jon Favreau. This film marks a return to cinematic storytelling with a $166 million budget, less than Acolyte, less than Andor. Andor was great. Andor to me was a great example of how good quality you could have a show be for your budget. For 166, I think Favreau can pull it off. But I don't want it to look like a TV show. I want it to look like a film. You know what I mean? And I think they tried to make the TV shows look like film, and there were some spots where they hit and some spots where they missed. But it says here that this budget, 166 million, will make the movie the most budget-friendly Star Wars movie since 2005. Intriguingly enough, Favreau confirmed he had already written all the scripts for a fourth season of the show, but those are being abandoned in favor of a new, larger scale cinematic story. So this is a big hint right here. They dropped season 4. A bigger cinematic story just tells us that we're now getting into the Filoni verse, right? Filoni's gonna get the green light to do this movie. They're gonna bring Thrawn into it. They're gonna bring the Night Sisters, the not the Death Troopers, the Zombie Troopers. All this different stuff, and that's where they're gonna have to play. That's gonna be their sandbox. Is gonna be in the theaters. No more 20 episodes. No more 10 episodes. No more 6, 8 episodes. It seems to me, my question is, are they abandoning Star Wars on Disney Plus? Yes and no. Yes, in the sense of these big budget shows with live action, and no, that it may still feature the animated things. There may still be some of these characters even animated. You know, we had Bad Batch. There may be occasional live action things, but in my opinion, I believe we're headed towards a definite split where live action will only be in the theaters, and we're talking 2 to 5 years between projects is my best guess. And they've probably got, they've already got the Starfighter film in production coming out in 27. So you're gonna have a movie in 26, you're gonna have a movie in 27. You're gonna have Ray probably in 28. Um, and at that point, anything to continue any of these is gonna be 2 to 5 years. It's whatever is in play will get finished up, and then it'll just be this waiting game to see what makes money. And wherever they can make the money, they'll continue. That's unfortunately that's what's gonna happen. Let's keep going. Star Wars has always had a global presence with production taking place in California and the UK. The upcoming Mandalorian and Grogu film, it was filmed in California, and Star Wars Starfighter was in the UK. So this highlights the continued expansion of that process. However, with fewer shows in the pipeline, these production hubs may see reduced activity, altering the landscape of Star Wars' worldwide footprint. Jon Favreau is now transitioning from TV to film with The Mandalorian and Grogu, and we know Jon Favreau can handle films from what he did with Marvel. Pedro Pascal will return to voice Din Djarin, though much of the physical performance will be handled by stunt doubles, which, okay. This new direction follows the character's arc at the end of season 3, where he pivots from a lone bounty hunter to a quote unquote work for the good guys. And the shift to a cinematic story may mean that fan favorite characters like Bo Katan Kryze and the Armorer may not even appear. The shift from a serialized TV format to a high budget film represents a major change for both Favreau and the character's creative direction. It can affect it all. So let's see how Marvel kind of ties into this. So it's not just Star Wars that's pulling back. Marvel Studios is also under the umbrella is cutting back on its streaming shows. I mean, it's to be expected. They're going to just try to stick everything in the theaters, right? So Dave Filoni has a crossover film project too, like I mentioned before. Known for his work on The Mandalorian and Ahsoka, Filoni is now working on a film that will bring together characters from multiple series. The crossover film, which will unite storylines from The Mandalorian, Ahsoka, and the Book of Boba Fett, is set to be a huge event in the franchise. Filoni described the project as requiring long development due to its massive narrative scope. But what does this mean for the future of Star Wars? I'm not sure how much time you really need. You've got, you can't tell me you can't tie this all together. Mando, Boba, Ahsoka, Anakin, Luke, they're all in the same timeline. We're all okay with them bringing in a digitized Luke actor or whatever. Do what you got to do at this point. Just give us good content, give us a good story. But you guys let me know what you think. Is it better to go into the theaters with films every 2 to 4 years, 2 to 5 years? We're going to get a nice run here. Things are going to get tie up with a nice little bow. And then what happens next is anybody's guess. So for the foreseeable future, what's your preference? Are you okay with Disney Plus losing the live action, going into theaters? Or do you want to see a mix of both like we've had in the past? Or is it just time to move on from this altogether? Let me know in the comments what you think and your thoughts, and I'll see you guys next time.